Welcome back. In this lesson, we're going to talk about voice leading. It's going to be geared mostly towards beginners, and I'm going to have a slightly more advanced lesson coming out next time. So, for this lesson, I'm going to show you how voice leading can make your chord progressions sound a lot smoother. We're going to start with a simple chord progression in C. So, for this chord progression, I'm going to play a C major, to an A minor, to a D minor, to a G. Now all of these chords are played in their root form, and they're all triads. And remember that each triad has a root form, a first inversion, a second inversion, and then back to the root form. So for example, for C, the chord is made out of C, E, and G, and the first inversion has E, G, and C. The second inversion has G, C, and E, and back to the root form, which has C, E, and G. All of these forms have the exact same three chords, C, E, and G, but just played in a different order or configuration. Same goes for A minor. A minor in its root form has A, C, and E. The first inversion has C, E, and A. Second inversion E, A, and C. And then back to A, C, and E. All of them have A, C, and E, but in different orders. D minor in the root form has D, F, and A, and then it has the two inversions, first inversion, second, back to root, and G has G, B, and D, which first inversion is this, B, D, and G, second inversion is D, G, and B, and then back to root. Now we're going to play a little game. I'm going to start with one of the forms, let's say the root form for C. And I'm going to play this progression, C to AM to DM to G, over and over. And the rule, there are actually going to be two rules to this game. The first is that as I move between chords, I'm going to have to keep at least one note fixed. That is unchanging. And the second rule for this game is that the other two notes can change, but not more than tone. And a tone is two semitones. And a semitone is simply the distance between two adjacent notes on the piano. So these two notes are one semitone apart. These are two semitone apart. These two are two semitones apart, or tone, 1, 2. These two are semitone, two semitones, two semitones, because I can go 1, 2. So I can maximum move them two semitones in each direction each. Okay, so here's this game has more than one solution. And I'm going to basically play my solution to the game. And you can simply then take the same 3-4 chords and come up with your own different solutions. In my left hand, I'm going to play the bass, so just C to A to D to G over and over and over again. Okay, I'm starting from the root form for C. Then I'm going to move to an inversion for A minor. So look how I kept these two notes constant, and I moved the G up to A. Now I'm playing an A minor, which has C, E, and A. So this G moved up only two semitones, which is allowed within the rules of the game. Next chord is D minor, and I'm going to keep the A fixed, and I'm going to move the C and the E up to a D and G, to a D and an F. And then for the G, I'm going to keep the D fixed, and I'm going to move these two up, the F and the A, up to a G and a B. And for the next step, I'm going to keep the G fixed, and I'm going to move the B and the D up to a C and an E. So let me play this back to you a little faster. So you see how by keeping a note fixed, a common note fixed, and not moving the other notes too much, I could achieve this smooth voicing or chord progression, which I didn't really have when playing the chords in the root forms. So just to compare, versus let's keep on going. So here's where we landed. For the A minor, which comes after the C, I'm going to keep E and C fixed and just move this G up 2 semitones. Then for the D minor, I'm going to keep this A fixed and move the E and C up to an F and a G and a D. And now I'm going to keep the D fixed and move these two guys, the F and the A, up to a G and a B. And finally, for going back to the C major, I'm going to keep the G fixed and move the B and D up to a C and an E. So let me play the entire progression from the beginning. And I actually challenge you to keep on going. Start from this and keep on going up or down or wherever it is you feel like you'd like to go. Play this progression and try to find these smooth voice leadings. Now you might ask, how did you come up with these solutions? How did you know to go from here to here when you started out, from the C major to the A minor? I mean, how did you know how to choose these particular inversions? Well, it turns out that there really aren't that many solutions to the game once you play by the rules I've laid out. Let's see what we could have done. Here's our C major chord in the root form, and one solution to going to the A minor would be doing this. And we've played out the solution. The other solution might be to keep these two fixed, and maybe then you'd say, okay, let's take this G down here, but really that's not a solution because we're not abiding by the second rule, which tells us that we can only move this G by a little bit, by either a semitone or 2 semitones up or down. So really there was only one solution. I was being a little dishonest when I made it appear as if there's more than one way of resolving the C major triad in the root form to the A minor. So sometimes you will have more than one solution, sometimes you won't, and you can try and play this game with any progression you come across. Now, with some progressions, it would be impossible. For example, when you look at two chords like C major and D minor. Now, these chords have no common notes. You see, the C major has C, E, and G, and the D minor has D, F, and A. So you really can't uphold the first rule, which tells us that we need to keep at least one note, one common note fixed between the two voicings. We can try and observe the second rule, which says that we can't move any note by more than a semitone or 2 semitones. So playing this would be acceptable. But actually here we can bend the rules by a bit. We might start with a C major in the brute form and play a D minor in the second inversion. Now here we're sort of breaking the second rule. We're taking these two notes, the E and the G, down to an D and an F, but we're taking the C all the way down to an A. So we're really moving it by 3 semitones. 1, 2, 3. But this just goes to show that the rules I've given you aren't some golden rules that will always yield the best possible result. So I kind of urge you to experiment with them and to try and break them and see when it sounds good or it doesn't sound good. They're a good starting point for building up your own chord voicings as you work through chord progressions. That's it for now. I hope you've learned something interesting, and I will see you next time.